Hey, what's going on? It's Shadow TD. Just chilling in my backyard currently in my hammock. I just strung up. Um, Letting the dog play a little bit while I'm just chilling. Um, I wanted to talk a little bit about uh, the concept of um, what you really need to get first to prepare for a zombie apocalypse or any apocalyptic situation, really. But since I am Shadow TD, we're talking zombies here. So, what should you do first? What's the very first thing to prepare with? Well, it's pretty simple. Um, there's a lot of things that people could say. Oh, get this, get that. You need to get a good knife first. You need to get good good tent, good sleep system. Good fire making. I mean, there's good backpack. I mean, all these things people will say. Oh, get this first, get that first, get a good flashlight, get whatever. Um, all these things are great, but first thing I would say is get knowledge. Um, Skills. Skills are the one thing they can't take from you. So, if something happens and you're someplace completely away from your gear, um, if you get separated from your gear, whether it be because someone's robbed you of it, or if you just were not able to make it to your gear, or if some kind of a act of nature remove your gear from you, all those things come into play. Well, I mean, at that point, you don't have your gear. So if you don't have any skill to back you on it, if you can't make a primitive fire, if you can't find a sharp rock, flint knap, or use a shell or something as a knife, I mean, if you're not able to look for certain things like that, if you can't think about, oh, I could find a seashell if I'm near a coastal area, or I could use a sharp rock or a flint knap something, to get me a sharp edge to use as a cutting implement. Um, as long as I can, as long as I can go ahead and do that, then I'm going to be pretty okay in the long run. Um, Not to say you shouldn't have gear. Gear is always better. It's always better to have a good knife. It's always good to have a good thick ferrule rod with your knife and a Bic lighter and maybe a Zippo. You need to have multiple different ways to start a fire than just one. You never want to rely on just one method. Um, I've heard people say that are survivalists before. One is none and two is one. And there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, you have something and you lose it, or you use it till it expires. Um, then it is what it is. You have it no more. So it's one of those situations where you need to have enough stuff on hand. Um, Aside from that, interesting little thing. The other aspect is um, after you get training, um, now of course you're looking at gear. And then of course I do recommend getting a good knife. Do a lot of research. I'm still not satisfied and settled on my knife yet. Still not. Why? Because knives are difficult, man. I mean, I picked up a Bussy T Gemini Light Brigade, and that's a $400 and some odd knife. All G10 handled. I mean, it's a slick knife, but man, it did not do the tasks that I originally purchased it for. Fantastic knife, fantastic steel, fantastic knife company. Um, Downside, way too light for chopping. Way too light for the type of camp type task that I was wanting to use it for. That's not what it's made for. It's a combat knife. I was hoping that it would, meet some other needs so I could use it as a combination blade, but no. I love the knife. I'm not going to get rid of it. It's not like I have plans to sell it or anything. I'm very pleased with the knife itself as for what it is. But I'll tell you what, um, all things aside, man, um, I just picked up a little charade. I believe it is the 30s, the SCF 37, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And it's pretty cool. It's got some pretty aggressive jipping on the front and bottom of it. The troweling's nice. It's a pretty thick blade, fairly heavy, made for bushcrafting. 1095 still. Seems good. It was like $30. Come with a ferrule rod and a diamond pad sharpener and a nice little sheath. I was like, okay. It's not like a Kydex sheath or anything, but I mean, it's still a good sheath. I was like, all right, this is something I could deal with. So as I was looking at everything, I'm gonna go play with that and see how that works out. And I have a few other little knives I picked up, and I picked up. I have a Cold Steel Crew Crane machete. Was very displeased with as far as its functionality. Jax, chill out, buddy. And on top of that, silly dog. On top of that, it's one of those situations where it's like, okay, I mean, let me try out a few different things. I want to pick up a Condor machete, I think is pretty much what I've settled on. One of my buddies just did pick up a Condor, and he seems to be pretty, well, more than pretty, very pleased with what he's used it on so far. He hasn't got to take it on its first real voyage, but he's taken it out and put it through a few paces, and so far he seems to be very pleased with the functionality of it. He also picked up a Essie Hungless for his actual real knife, and he's looking at picking up a couple of other knives for, in particular for like one knife system or a two knife system, things like that. So a good knife is always a good thing to have on hand. And as I figure out what knife I want and what knife I want to use, then at that point I will be, go ahead and moving that information to you as well. So there's my little dog doing something crazy. He loves carrying sticks around, and so he's moving that thing over. That wasn't there earlier. Little fart. So then of course, fire making, your water container, water purification system, are some of your more important items. And of course, obviously a backpack is a super important item. I went through many backpacks, and I'm still not settled on one yet. So, everything is always a growing process. Eventually, you'll find what's right for you. Sometimes what's right for one person is not right for another. And it also depends on what scenario you're prepping for. Also depends on where you plan on bugging out to. So everything's gonna be its own specific situation. So it's all kind of a fluid thing. The more you do what you do, the more you learn, the more that you experience, the more you try out different gear. The next thing you know, you're like, okay, well, this gear's a piece of gear that's really great, but it's not great for the task I bought it for. Hence my Bussy. Fantastic knife. Nowhere near what I meant to buy. So still a great knife. Have a fantastic knife out of the deal, but again, it wasn't the knife for the task that I purchased for. So now I have to find another knife for the task that I originally got for that. So all in all, those are some of the basics. I didn't want to go too deep into it yet. Hey, Bubba. Didn't want to go too deep into it yet, and definitely wanted to go ahead and just kind of throw that out there. But the main thing, first and foremost, is always going to be training, and first aid training is paramount. I mean, any kind of injuries, cuts, bruises, scrapes, blisters, everything that makes you uncomfortable, makes you not perform at 100%, can sabotage your survival. So by all means, first aid. That is one of the biggest things. People have all this gear, all this wonderful stuff, and they have this paltry little first aid kit, and it's like, okay. Now, I'm not saying go out and buy stuff you don't know how to use, but I'm saying go out and learn how to use stuff, and then go out and make yourself a nice robust first aid kit. That way you run into something, if you get diarrhea, if you get constipated, if you get, bites, itches, rashes, whatever, a big blister on your foot because you wasn't expected to walk the way you were on the kind of terrain you were, and you rub a big blister on there, and you have the proper kind of moleskin, you have the proper kind of things to wrap your feet so you can go ahead and walk. I mean, all these things are very important. If you can't walk right, man, you can't get in there and do what you need to do. So you have to be able to walk. You don't want to get jungle rot. Just having the right kind of clothing. I mean, that's one of the things my buddies mentions all the time, and I never really thought of until he brought it up, and he's 100% right. Clothes are huge importance. Jeans and a t-shirt will kill you. It will kill you in the wild. You want to get very minimum military ripstop at very minimum, at cheapest. And get some kind of Under Armour-ish and or like a 511 type of an overshirt. That's fine. If you want to go with something a little less expensive, you can find something similar to that in the camping stores like REI. You can pick it up at Bass Pro, Cabela's, anything like that. They'll have some kind of an overshirt for you that wicks away fast. But the more high end you can get, the better. You might cost you a couple $300 for a pair of pants and a shirt, but it's going to be able to wick away that water. It's going to have a better blood barrier for whatever it is that you're getting on you. It's not going to hold all kinds of junk on it. I mean, it's going to be a lot more durable. It's going to be light, better fitting. I mean, those are going to be things that are all going to be invaluable. Things that are going to, wish you had 100 pair of those. But, if you get a couple pair of clothes like that, just, 2 pair of pants, 2 shirts, several pair of socks, several pair of underwear, and a good pair of shoes, boots, you're good. I mean, those are all things that will last you a while if you buy quality. And my buddy has this concept that he keeps telling me, and I agree with, that I've adopted. It's called buy once, cry once. You buy a bunch of stuff cheap, trying to find some discount way to get something, and then you end up saying, "Oh, I don't like it. Got to get something else. Oh, don't like that either. Got to get something else. Oh, don't like that either. Got to get something else. Oh, it keeps breaking. It doesn't work the way I thought it was going to." Just buy the big, nice one that you want, and bite the bullet. Cry one time with the expenditure, and then you're done. But unlike I did on knives, do the research, make sure that you get out there and know which one you're getting first, because buying a combat knife for a bushcraft job is that's not where it's at. So again, this is Sean OTD. I just wanted to kind of give you some brief thoughts on what you should do first to prep for a zombie apocalypse. And again, very, very simple. It's called training. Training. As always, please give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to click down there and subscribe.